What is going on, everybody? Justin here, aka No Good Comics, and welcome back to the channel. We're live tonight. I feel like I haven't been live on the channel here since Omni X-Men, but we're back. We're live here. Other than some of the videos I've been putting out, we're talking about Deadly Class, the first hardcover volume by Rick Remender and Wes Craig. And of course, when I say we, I have a good friend of mine who we've been trying to sync up here with our schedules for a while now and try to find any excuse just to hang out, really. So my good friend Dan, let me bring him on here. Comic Chop News. Dan, what's up, man?
I am excited to be talking about this, and I'm excited that you got into this book and started digging it because I've been dying to talk about this. My co-host on Ink Panels, Jen Comics Will Break Your Heart, as we can see in the chat. Hi, Jen. She hates Rick Remender. So I try to stay away from it. She has some strong feelings.
Okay.
But when I was getting back into Image after Saga came out, there was this huge just glut of awesome books that came out at one shot. And this was one of them. And I fell in love with this book immediately because I grew up in the 80s and there was just a lot of those heartstrings it pulled for me. And I just adore some of the characters. They're horribly broken and I love them.
Yeah. I can't wait to dive into this, man. It's been a long time coming for me to read this, and I will clarify. So a couple of things. One, yes, we're going to be talking spoilers, at least for this first volume. So anyone watching this on the replay or watching this now, just be aware we are going to spoil some things in this first volume. The other thing I wanted to clarify is I haven't read much further than the first hardcover volume. So the first cover is 18 issues altogether, I believe.
Well, this is the hardcover, the deluxe edition. So it carries 1 through 16.
16,
first three trades.
So I have the second one here just for people if they haven't seen them and you have them behind you there. Yeah. So I'm a little bit I'm like probably 4 issues into this one. So be aware of that when we're talking about this. Don't give any goodies away, Dan, for what's to come.
No, I don't want to spoil it because it's such an overarching through the years. There's time jumps as it goes on. So
okay, cool.
I don't want to ruin it.
Nice. I'm looking forward to more of this. Let's say a quick hello to the chat. We saw Jennifer here. What's going on, Jennifer? Thanks for hanging out with us. We also got Inja Binja in the house. What is going on, Inja? Start the show. Demarius Gray is in the house. What's going on, Demarius? Thanks for swinging by as well. He's just been waiting for this. One of his favorite books. Awesome to hear. Let's see. Yeah, she says the only book by Remender I enjoy. Okay, fair enough. We got Tim Stacy in the house. What is going on, Tim? Good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping by. We also got my man Justin in the house, Nemesis Prime. I was literally just streaming with him on their podcast, pre-recorded podcast, just a few minutes ago. So thanks for hanging out. I know he's also a big fan of Deadly Class. And so I appreciate you hanging out with us here, Justin. And by the way, the podcast episode I'm going to be on with them is being released tomorrow. So anybody interested, definitely check that out as well. But yeah, so before we get into it, Dan, if you guys don't follow Dan, you should. I put his information in the description below. We were going to have my buddy Jason Claiming Comics with us. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it tonight, but you still should follow him. I put his information in the description below as well. He's a great guy, and he's the one that also got me really into this. And again, big shout out to Jason because he's been lending me these as I've been going on. So he bought all 3 of them. Or there's 3, right? All together?
There's 3 right now, yeah.
So far. Yeah. So he lent me the first one and I, binged right through it. Now I'm into the second one. So Jason, if you're watching this later, thank you for, lending me this and feeding me in that sense as I enjoy this run. So at some point, I'll probably just buy all of them, myself. Because
as I was saying before we went live, if you want to buy them, you'll end up saving money. DCBS has all of these. They're exclusive covers for $29, and their shipping's dirt cheap. So, it's
a good deal.
Go get on it.
Yeah, it's a good deal.
Nemesis and I are already friends.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely got that vibe as well. And I'm sure we'll be talking a lot of Maria here tonight for sure. So, as I was saying backstage, Dan, no real agenda for this show. I just want to talk anything and everything about this volume 1, what we like, what we dislike, maybe some favorite scenes, favorite characters, as you had mentioned, as some other ideas. So, we really can go in any direction. We can go out of order, whatever it is that you want to do. What did Ninja say? She says, I love when people peer pressure Justin to read books like Justin peer pressure. Yeah, I mean, I get it. It goes both ways, right, Ninja? Yeah,
Philadelphia, Swamp Thing.
Yeah. I twist other people's arms, they twist my arm right back. It's a full circle. So yeah, this is just like, let's just talk general thoughts here first. And again, I know you're caught up, right? Like, you've read everything so far.
I'm up to date right now.
Okay,
so the series is about to end, and I think 3 more issues.
Okay, yeah. So disregarding everything that's come after volume 1, what is your general thoughts of this first volume, and I guess like these first 16 issues?
So it goes from, I think, a good generation setup in the first volume of telling you what these characters are about, what their mindset are. And the way I originally proposed this to somebody, think of it if you're a street kid and you get brought into Hogwarts, but it's for assassins.
That's a great.
But everybody's a shitty person. Like, everybody's broken. Everybody has some dark past, some fucked up family.
Yeah.
And right away they tell us our protagonist, Marcus, he's not a good person. He's a sack of shit.
Right.
He's not a good person. He's had horrible stuff happen to him. He's living on the street. He's been accused of killing children in a foster home. We learn later there's more to that.
Yep.
And in the first volume, we get introduced to our core group of people. There's Maria, who is a bipolar Mexican girl who dresses like a Dia de la Muerte. She has fans that also are razor blades. She is a master stealthy assassin. She works for the cartel as a child. After killing her parents, they pressed her into work where she was an innocent-looking girl that they sent to deliver bombs to people's houses.
Yep. It's so crazy.
Billy is a punk rock kid. Willie is a gangbanger from Compton, which we learn more about of his backstory. Chico is basically who runs the cartel and is Maria's boyfriend. Saya is from Japan and part of the Yakuza and her clan, and she is the closest. If anybody's read Sin City, she is like an analog of Miho from that.
Okay, yeah.
There's even scenes of her walking across telephone wires, but reminded me of that quite a bit. There's Lex, the bomb expert. Victor, the KGB guy, who basically is like a bulked up Drago from Rocky IV. And everybody's so damn flawed, and I think that's what brought me to it, because you have an unreliable narrator who's telling things from his point of view, which is all over the place. Especially there's drug-fueled issues where actually almost the whole trade was a fever dream for the second volume, which was like 7 through 12.
Yep. Yeah, the Vegas stuff. I don't know if that, like that. Yeah.
Yes.
It's so crazy because like I didn't know what I was getting into with this. Like that's the thing too. Like for anybody who if you're just reading it or you haven't read it yet or whatever, like just looking at it, like you get like you assume there's some sort of I thought it was like samurai, like just that direction and swords and whatever, but obviously way more than that, and it's very diverse, which I love that aspect of it too. So as you mentioned, all these characters very broken, they all have their own dark kind of past or history of kind of what they have gone through, which allows Remender to really tell different stories at different times and elaborate on certain characters, which I really like with his style of writing, which I've been a fan of Remender for a long time now, and like reading Black Science and things like that. So
Captain America run was really underrated, and X-Force.
Oh yeah, Remender, that's right, he did do. I didn't read the X-Force stuff. I didn't read either, actually, now I think about it. I think I own them all. But yeah, like I do like his style and his storytelling. And this, of course, I wasn't expecting this to be like as over the top as it is. And by over the top, I guess I mean
It's like a crack movie.
Drug use, like sex and drugs and everything. So definitely over the top in that sense. And there's no holding back. There's really no holding back. So when it goes in certain directions, I'm like, okay, like we're going here. Like this is what we're doing. Like, the whole Vegas scene, and that's one of the ones I wanted to bring up tonight, was just like, them taking their trip to Vegas and all that, which was just wild. But before I even get into like those details, I was going to mention that, like, this is about a school, right? It's a school, the way you put it there, with like Hogwarts, but with killers, and it's really, much more violent than anything else. I've been like on this kick for these types of series where it's like, like Strange Academy, like about a school of students, yes. Like something about that setup. Obviously X-Men, another route, and even like I actually been reading Harry Potter, and not that this can compare in that sense, but just like the idea of like these students at schools with drama, and then with other things going on involved. I've just been so hooked on,
because this you get the whole like Degrassi cliques. I hate to go to Degrassi route. No, but, right. Growing up, Degrassi High was around, but like there's so much character stuff going on between the cliques and all of this other stuff going on. And I love an unreliable narrator, especially in horror movies. Issue 5 was William S. Burroughs' novel.
Yeah,
it basically was the Las Vegas book, basically.
Right. I was gonna say that was like a big part of it, right? Was when once they went to Vegas.
Yeah. Demarius. Yeah, I have watched the show. I have season 1. I bought the Blu-ray for.
Oh, I have not.
The first episode, for anybody interested, is on YouTube. The entire episode. It was put up by the Sci-Fi for it, and the casting is so dead on. And Wong from Doctor Strange is playing Master Lin.
Oh man, okay, wow.
But the kid they've got playing Marcus is so unbelievably perfect, and the girl who played Jubilee in the X-Men movies is playing Saya.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's so good.
So well cast.
Wow. Well, that was another thing I had talked with Jason a lot about, was, mentioned, was like the film and stuff, or the show. And he said, like, yeah, at some point you definitely should watch it. So that is on my list for sure. I don't know if
Peacock or Paramount right now. It's on one of those streaming services.
Does it matter, like, technically, since I haven't read, halfway through the second volume, does it matter if I go and watch that, or should I not watch it yet and finish? Like,
you'll be fine with where you finished on volume 1.
Okay. So
it didn't get an opportunity to go.
Okay. Oh man. Okay. So all right. Good.
So it's heartbreaking, because I know Remender was just like, I can't believe this happened, with the Russo brothers producing it.
Yeah.
Winter Soldier, like the Russos.
Yeah.
It just for some reason on Sci-Fi, it just could not draw an audience. But they didn't hold back either. The violence and drugs were like there and way over the top.
Okay, well that's good. That's good. So as you mentioned, there's these cliques, right, which is typical in the sense of a school environment, and definitely, again, as we mentioned, a lot of diversity. What are your thoughts on just seeing some of these groups and how we slowly first get introduced to some of them? Because Marcus just kind of gets thrown into the mix, and
he walks down the hallway. And of course, since he is Nicaraguan, the Mexican cartel's like, hey, if you want to live, you need to be with us. Right. But then there's like the Dixie Mob, which are the racist Southern hillbillies. Yeah. Then you have the Yakuza clans. Then there's the Russians. So there's all these different cliques. And then there's even the further outsiders that just have no clique, really.
Right. Like
Willie has his South Central mob.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's interesting. And of course, Marcus, his innate ability is to piss off everyone. He just doesn't want to be part of anything. But he's also a huge comic fan, we find out, which started endearing me to him.
I love that they tied that into that. And, Remender and his background, and obviously just tying in comics the way he did. It's nice. There are a couple little scenes in there where, as he works at this comic shop or whatever, that they're having conversations about, and they're having conversations about, real comic book related, topics and things like that.
Oh, indies versus the
the
mainstream,
like the big two or whatever.
Yeah.
It's so perfect. Like that's exactly what you hear in these, going to a comic shop.
100%.
Um,
So like we said, the violence, like right from the start of this book,
mm,
you start seeing it. Marcus is homeless, and you kind of go through what he was going through on the streets.
yeah,
Which, a little history, Marcus, I think, is basically Rick Remender, because Rick Remender was homeless for a while, and in the back of Volume 1, he talks about
I read that. Yeah,
growing up in Phoenix and then moving to a hillbilly town where he was getting beat up. He saw people get shot in the head.
yeah. This is like totally a big part of his life, from what it seems. And as scary as it sounds, not too far off some of this stuff, like
Yeah.
the violence and the drug use. I read that caption at the end, and I don't know if that's in the trades, the smaller trades, or even in the issues, but that's something I think worth reading in these nice hardcover editions.
It's in the soft cover trades, and
it is okay.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a really cool piece of
not in the
history
floppies.
to kind of read. Not the floppies.
Not in the
Okay,
single issues. Yeah.
yeah. So anybody who hasn't read that, you definitely should check that out if you haven't.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite character out of this that you ended up gravitating towards weirdly?
So I mean, I know we had already kind of been mentioning it. Justin in the chat mentioned it. Maria has just been like, she's so badass. And what I liked about Maria the most is I almost feel like they made her look like weak in the beginning, or like I thought it was going to be a character I wasn't going to care for, and she ended up becoming the strongest character in my opinion. His background and everything, and everything that she does, like and it just quickly became one of my favorites. But definitely in the beginning, like I didn't think I was going to be like into liking anything about her. Like, I don't know. I think it's just the way she was kind of portrayed in certain ways. And she also wasn't like the pinpoint. And I know they were like dating. So at first it kind of made her look like she was just very depressed and sad and all this stuff. And before they got
in
into
the
the
show,
details.
they hammer into that she's bipolar.
Okay.
They don't really talk about that, because I know at a point they say she has a learning disability.
Right.
But there's a sadness to her that, as the book goes on, like kind of unfolds, where she's, gets her heart broken by Marcus, and she's like, I loved you and you broke my heart, and just all these sad things. And then you find out about her family past, and between the look of the character and just by the end, how she kind of has a comeback.
Yeah.
She grew on me immensely, to the point where Gambit tattooed her on my arm.
Oh man. Yeah, that you've posted that before, right?
Yeah, I had.
Love it.
I have 3 Remender tattoos. I have one from Low and one from Tokyo Ghost.
Wow, that's awesome.
Those are on my back. But my friend Sid, who used to work with Gambit at the tattoo shop as the counter girl, our whole friendship started because I had my comics with me, and she saw I had Deadly Class. She's like, "Oh, I love that book." We bonded over Remender, and her favorite's Marcus.
Yeah.
So we're always joking that, she's the Marcus to my Maria.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I definitely, and that was another aspect of this book that I really liked was, and again, just going back to that, high school mentality, cliques and things like that. There's a lot of, love that's involved with it, in these little love triangles and things like that. So,
Yes.
I appreciated that he had tied that in and made all these characters in a way, obviously we care about them very much. And certain characters playing games with others, and you don't quite know who's all in with who, and hearts are broken, they
allude to Marcus getting sexually violated many, many times. He's got scars all over his body from when he was at the foster home, getting burned, cut.
Right.
He had tremendous trauma and abuse. And there's also this character called Fuckface.
Yeah.
Who now I'm convinced was an analog from Preacher. There was a character named TC that used to fuck animals, and this guy Fuckface was like, look at that pretty cat there. And then watching the dog show, like, just some weird dark shit. And it just really Billy was awesome. Billy was good. Billy he was, hey
John. What's up, dude?
Yeah, so they go into a lot of like trauma and how it affects people.
Yeah.
And as we go in further, they start explaining other people's trauma. You don't get into a lot of it. I think Willie, you get into a little bit of what's going on with him.
Yeah. Well, like his whole like fake story kind of, right? Or his
Yes.
mistold story of like what's true, did he really pull the trigger and all this other stuff to, for what he's known in the school, Willie's known as like this, badass kid who, has used guns before and all this stuff. And then we find out that it's may not be fully true or,
His uncle staged it to make him look not soft.
Right. Which and I love that. I love the back and forth, the relationship building between Willie and Marcus too. Like, and obviously I know in going into a little further, like where their relationship goes, but like, even just in the beginning here, we get a lot of Willie in the first, I guess, like trade and a half or whatever it is. I mean, he's in it throughout, but he's
also they bond over comic books. They end up working at the same comic store on all
days. Yep.
And I think we have all kind of had that friend that like we're really good friends with, and then something kind of happens and you start to not be friends anymore.
Yeah. He says you see it better in the show. Okay,
yes.
Good to know. Yeah, I will keep the show on in my queue to check out.
The actress they got to play Maria, I couldn't have cast it better.
Oh wow,
she's
that's great,
phenomenal.
Yeah. So what I was saying before in one of the towards the beginning, the Vegas scenes, like them just going out and tripping and going to the concert or whatever, and
going to a Dead show to go snort acid.
Yeah, like, and I am such a Vegas fan. Like, I love Las Vegas. So, like, to me, like, I was even telling my girlfriend about this, who she hasn't read any of it, but I was like, you should read like this first trade or whatever. I was like, Vegas is involved. Like, I'm like trying to sell it to her, and so. But yeah, just it was so wild and so immediate, like getting into this book where I'm just like, oh wow, like this is the direction we're going. It was I love the direction of that, and then obviously, as that little story builds, and they have to, they're really going there for the guy, the dad of
Billy's dad.
Yeah. That was like definitely, I didn't know how that was going to go down. Meanwhile, he was like tripping,
and then the stuff with Maria's boyfriend Chico was.
Oh yeah. By the way, the scenes in some of this Vegas, we keep talking about this Vegas moment or set of books or story arc. The color and the artwork were absolutely beautiful. You have, Let me.
This is him tripping down the street.
Yeah, like the coloring was so well done. I think what's his name, Boyd, did the coloring here.
I saw Lee Lockridge mentioned, but I don't.
Jordan Boyd is the colorist.
Okay.
But I think he played such a big role in the storytelling aspect. With especially these trippy scenes.
Sorry, JP. I just saw in the chat.
Oh, hey, you're starting this too soon. Next. Oh man. Okay. Yeah. Then don't listen in, man. Yeah, skipping out. We'll catch on it later, JP. I'm still catching up too, so we'll have to talk later. But yeah, so anyways, the coloring, the artwork, especially in some of those scenes, and like the scenes where Maria comes back and does a lot of killing, those were all beautiful as well.
Yeah. Also, like, there's something about Wes Craig's art. It's so kinetic.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like every page of art is constantly something moving in it. So even if there's nothing going on, you still feel like the story's moving, and totally. I appreciate the hell out of that. And also, his art also looks like stuff I'd see on old concert flyers during the early 90s, late 80s.
Yeah, heck yeah, I can see that. Yep, for sure. Well, has he done a lot of other things? Like, I mean, I assume he's done a lot of work, but like, is there anything else you could pinpoint or name out that you know of?
He did a Dark Horse book or Image, Gravediggers Union.
Oh, okay.
But really, other than this, I don't really know his art from a lot of places. But then again, I was the same person when Seven to Eternity came out by Remender. I had never seen Jerome Opina's work before, and then I was like, "Who is this guy? Holy!"
I don't think I realized that was Remender. By the way,
it's so not Remender that it.
Okay. Like, you almost wouldn't know.
Yeah, because it's just a different, like a fantasy tale. It's kind of like Low.
Okay.
If I didn't know it was Remender, but the art is so good that I get distracted.
Yeah. That's I might have to add that then to the list as well. Because at this point, I'm just like, give me all of it. I'll read anything he does. But was there? So I wanted to ask, was there any characters you like didn't necessarily care for, or at least at this stage of the first volume?
So weirdly on this read through, I appreciated Billy a lot more. And maybe I just didn't notice him the first time around.
Compared to the first time, yeah.
Yeah, but like everything just kind of kept blending together because I was month to month. I'd say Lex still was nothing to me. So when he eventually gets his head blown off, I was like, okay, like whatever. I don't care enough.
Right.
Chico's death, though, was a little bit more than I remembered.
Okay.
Because I thought it was quicker than it was, and then all of a sudden, like I was like, oh, this was like a whole issue.
Yeah, it kind of strung out in that one. Yeah. Let's see. Damaris says he's coming out with a new one soon from Image 30th book. Oh, cool. Okay. Shabnam. Shabnam. Yeah. Yeah. He was, or he's like the nerdy guy, right? That's his roommate or whatever, and he doesn't invite him to the party. But he's really there to like spy on him.
Water.
Yeah. So, but I remember. So, and again, I'm kind of going off from memory for some of this stuff because I don't have the book in front of me now. But didn't Shabnam? He was kind of being the right hand spy.
He's Masterland spy
for Masterland. Yeah. Okay. Right. Yep. So
he's all about trying to get clout because he doesn't have the physical attributes to be able to contribute elsewhere. So.
Right.
His brain and the other stuff is where he contributes.
Yeah, he's got the smarts.
There is a scene here where Marcus and Willie are going to kill a hobo, where they're jumping across buildings, and they're like, why are we doing the Dark Knight Returns jump?
Oh, yeah.
And it made me laugh because I was like, yeah, like... It made me laugh because I was like, "Oh yeah, they're comic book fans, so of course they're doing this dumb shit." They're gonna
right. That there was man. I wish I don't remember all the dialogue, but I know there was some really good dialogue in there between the two of them. I forget what was there a scene where they were talking about like hip hop or something, or they were.
No, it was hip hop versus punk.
Oh yeah, okay. I remember like finding that conversation to be interesting, and I like that Remender went there to just have them have this conversation, even though it wasn't, it was just a, relationship building and character building, aspect. But yeah, I remember I took screenshots a while ago from it, but I'll have to look that up later.
Yeah. Like the first, sixth issue of the first volume, I guess you'd call it, of the first trade.
Yeah.
Basically ends with Maria beheading Chico with her blades.
Right.
And so one of the rules of the school is you can't kill another student.
Yeah.
So now it's become this thing they have to hide. And also the fact that, her father took her in, which is a problem because, he runs the cartel and he's got these crazy ass motherfuckers with him that like the father, the Holy Ghost, the Pale Rider. And these are all like the craziest dudes.
Yeah.
As we'll see later on in this.
Yeah. His mental illness as well. Yeah, good point. Yep.
Yeah, Marcus talks about his depression and then seeing it playing out in Maria. Where he's like, well, I'm finally through it and I can't stand watching her like this because now I'm seeing how other people saw me.
Right. Yeah. Can we talk about the comic book store?
Oh yes, we can. The shit talking kids that came.
So generally speaking, the comic book store is his job that he has throughout some of this book, and basically just like a manager, or behind the cashier or whatever, and he works there a couple days a week or whatever it is that they've had him do. And as we mentioned before, like I like that there was a lot of relative talk about comics and even like the background. If you look closely at, just some of the racks and things like that and posters that are up, I like that Remender took time to or I guess Craig took time to really put some of those details in there. So that was always cool. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about This is in this book, right? Not in volume 2, right? This is where he gets.
No, it's in this book.
It's in volume 1, yeah. So he ends up. He got sick, right? Like he got
messed up the night before. He was puking the whole way through.
Yeah.
And then like these kids are bothering Len's like, you said you're gonna draw Wolverine fighting so and so, and it's this half off sale. So the kid's irritating. He's like, all right, come here real close.
Yeah.
And he goes to fart in his face and he ends up like blowing out, just completely shitting himself. So his boss comes into the store.
I was not expecting this at all.
He's cleaning his butt with all the shit with his boss's shirt. He just got caught screwing around with Saya. Like
right. Yeah, a lot of things had just happened the night before. I did not like. I remember like the way I'm laughing now is like I was laughing at this happening because I didn't think it would go there, you know.
It was like Train Spotting, where Ewan McGregor has to use the worst bathroom in Ireland.
I definitely just had to like take back for a moment and realize what I had just kind of read through with this. I was cracking up. So
we are also introduced to Fuckface's team that are all like PCP'd out hillbillies.
Oh yeah. Oh, the breakfast burrito. So I thought there was something else mixed into his whatever he ate or whatever, and he just started complaining about his stomach bothering him. He didn't think much of it, and then he goes to like just fart in the kid's face, and it's just like little surprise. Anyways, that's a scene that'll never be unseen again for me.
True. It's haunting, I guess you could call it. We have flashbacks to Marcus when he's in the foster home.
Oh yep. Yeah, that like ended one of the issues, right? I mean, that was was this where we really got detail of the fire and everything?
Yeah, where he's building the bomb with all the pin needles.
Yep. That was nuts. I want to flip through here again because I want to make sure there was something else I wasn't mentioning. That was a wild. I guess was that just over one issue specifically?
I believe it was one issue because he had Saya read his journal.
Oh yeah, that's right, and he never opened it up for anybody before,
except for when it got stolen.
Oh right,
by Shabnam, who showed it to Master Lin, which gave away the whole Vegas thing.
Yep.
Again, this is a book where all about the plotting, and the second volume or second trade that's part of this 3-trade hardcover is when we go into Maria's backstory, where her dad basically to feed his family took a little bit off the top from the cartel leader, which was Chico's dad.
Yeah,
and he learns about it, lights her mother on fire in the kitchen, blows away everybody, crucifies her dad in the front yard, and they're gonna kill her. And then Chico's like, no, she looks innocent, she's crafty, you can use her. So he takes her as his daughter, but that becomes her son's abused lover.
Yep.
It's a crazy scene. Like it's an issue of just watching all of this insane stuff go down. And as we're going through, you can see Maria, after killing Chico, her facial gestures, the way they're done, you can see her just breaking. Which I thought added a lot to her character when you start going to her backstory of like, how is she able to function?
Yeah. And
gives you a little sympathy for her.
Totally. Yeah, before that, like we obviously just didn't know as much about her. That definitely had set her up, her character. The one thing I was going to mention too was, I don't know if you're a fan of like listening to music while you read your comics. But are you okay? So I've been like experimenting with this a lot over probably the past like couple of years now at this point, just on and off. But for this book, So I try to like, if whatever it is that I'm like about to read, I try to find an album of some sort that I think just fits well with the vibe or the environment of what it is that I'm reading, and I'll stick with it. So anytime I open up that book or that series, like I go back to that album or that type of music or whatever. So for this book, and if you haven't done this, you should try it. I went and played the soundtrack to Euphoria, the TV show, and it's like made for this book. Like I think, and have you watched Euphoria? Have you seen that? So as you know, a lot of broken characters, very much so, a lot of drug use and things like that. If you get that same vibe, right? And so when I was and I was just done watching Euphoria, like right before I started getting into some Deadly Class. So I was just obsessed with the soundtrack still, and great soundtrack. I'm very dark and like chill at the same time. And that's where I just like felt like it fits so well to this book. So for anybody who's never tried that, or if you do and you never listen to Euphoria or the Euphoria soundtrack to Deadly Class, I would highly recommend giving it a shot.
The single issues, if I recall, there were, as Damaris said, they put playlists at the end of every storyline.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
You could put together. Another book that did that was Matthew Rosenberg's We Can Never Go Home.
Okay.
From Black Mask, which I would almost put in this category of
of
book. They actually part of the cover, they had a playlist of all the songs that they listened to while creating every comic.
So when you say songs, like are these like just random pops, like hit well-known songs written by artists, or were these songs purposely written for this book?
They were ones that were already out there.
Like random artists and random music.
Yeah, the writer and the artist, like in their head, were like when they were creating this book, these were the songs they were listening to.
So I just talked about that on one of my shows about Rom V doing that with his latest book that's been coming out. The
Dune soundtrack.
No, for what's the series?
The new Aquaman. He had put something.
Oh no, not that. I forgot he's doing Aquaman though. By the way, good call. I gotta catch up on that. Okay, good to know. No, is at least. Radio Apocalypse. That was.
Okay, yeah.
So I didn't know that other artists were doing what you had just described, because other than Rom V, because Rom V, basically says, hey, whenever I mention a song or an artist, like go, listen to it, whether it's on Spotify or iTunes or whatever. And I thought it's such a clever way to add soundtrack to your book as a creator without having to pay artists for it. Like you literally, it's like making a movie and using its music but not having to pay for it. Like he has like Bruce Springsteen in the book, he has the Muse in the book, and a few others. So I thought it was like genius to do, and I thought he was like one of the first to do it. But
Jen had texted me that he had posted on Twitter one day. He's like, I'm writing the new Aquaman book for Christian Ward, and I'm listening to the Dune soundtrack.
Oh, okay, that's awesome.
The movie, and she was like, if ever there were two things that I needed more in my life, these things together.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I know you guys are Dune fans. That's cool. I'll have to maybe I'll do that then as I'm reading that, because I do want to catch up on that. That's like
the Hans Zimmer soundtrack is what he was listening to.
Oh, okay, cool.
So it was the score,
right,
which is very good. But
yeah,
I do love that, because I think it was Sex Criminals, where they have a scene in it where they're describing that literally they're listening to fat bottom girls like dancing to it, but they're like, we're not putting the lyrics here, so just imagine the lyrics are here.
Yeah, that's good. He said Rick and Wes made the playlist for Deadly Class. That's cool.
Yeah,
I'll have to check that out then.
The series had a very good music to it to listen to also, like while the needle drop songs.
Right. Yeah, so I didn't realize that for Deadly Class. You're saying, is it in here like that? They recommend?
It's not in the trades. It's actually in the single issues.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting that they only put them in that. Huh.
Okay. Someone probably published them somewhere else.
Yeah,
or someone made a Spotify playlist of it.
Right.
Someone made a Spotify playlist.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, so you want to talk a little bit about kind of how this this trade ends. I know that they or hardcover. I know that there are obviously a lot of relationship things happen and things
Yes.
change here. So
things come to a head. The fuckface problem is taken care of, but it goes tits up when it happens.
Right.
Fuckface had already told the cartel about Chico. So as they're finishing up the fuckface problem, Maria's adopted family shows up, and they're the craziest motherfuckers ever. And it just happens to be they had gotten Chico's head. So Marcus is walking out with it, and he's hallucinating that the head is talking to him, much like in Sin City.
Oh yeah,
where the head's talking to Clive Owen.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he stole from Frank Miller. It was an interesting take. I'll give it that. So Maria finally stops cowering, I guess. She gets her nerve back. And there is one of the greatest confrontations I have seen in comics, especially with the way Wes Craig drew it, and the colorist, you said Doyle?
Jordan
Boyd.
Jordan Boyd. Yeah.
The colors are so expressive.
Yeah.
Like hell on earth is happening.
Yeah.
Also, Maria and Saya almost kill each other.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know there was a lot of friction there between the girls.
So
it's all Marcus's fault.
Oh, it's always Marcus's fault.
Yeah.
Honestly, throughout the entire series, Marcus is self-destructive.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I feel that's the vibe I get from him throughout. Is like even when things are going well, he manages to have something go wrong.
I'm trying to find the right page because there's
a
page where just
that's Comixology, right?
I'm not on Comixology.
Oh, okay.
I've got it on Kindle.
Oh, gotcha.
For some reason, I went with Kindle. I don't know why.
Demario said he loved the bus ride.
That's where I'm.
Oh yeah.
So it's her in the flames, and the whole symbolism of her mother was killed in flames.
Yeah, that is it's so beautifully done. Just the way that's drawn out there.
And she gets her vengeance. She kills Chico's dad and all of the other, almost all of them.
Yeah, very gruesome too.
The book ends with her going to Master Lin saying, hey, like, I think Lex did something stupid, trying to kind of turn things around to save them. And he's like, I already know what happened, and drugged her tea. And then Chico's mom and the crazy biker, the Pale Rider that's Chico's brother, come out.
Yeah.
And there's a meeting afterward for the school. And this is after the whole love triangle. Willie and Saya are now together and confused.
Yeah.
And they stop being friends, basically. And
I was so bummed by that.
Master Lin has a big thing, and basically he says, so the big thing for the school this year is killing a rat. And Marcus is considered a rat, is what they call the non-affiliated students.
Yeah.
So every rat in the school now is to be hunted and killed.
Yeah.
And that's how they end this third trade.
It just goes, the auditorium, right? Like they just, and it was after the big chase. He had just
got Victor.
Yeah, with Victor. Yeah, like there was like the big fight scene there, and he's running, or he's running from Victor, right?
This is the last page.
And then What does it say there?
Kill all the rat, or kill the rat,
because they turn the lights off. Because they turn the light. Yeah, so they're all in this auditorium, and he's up. What's his name? The leader or the teacher?
Masterland.
Masterland. He's up at the top on stage, and he's explaining this without pointing any fingers. And Marcus just gets in and sits down after being chased by Victor, who's trying to kill him. And Victor comes and sits down too. Like that's what's so interesting too about this whole thing. Is like there are rules, right?
Yes.
There even and you have to be respectful while in these types of situations where you're still expected to be on your best behavior, and just like you would as a student to a school. So
Master Lin at one point threatens him and say, "Listen, I'll eviscerate you in your sleep."
Yes, that's right. Yeah. He's not having it. Kill the rats. Yeah. So he says that they turn off the lights, and that's how it ends. And so that alone, totally a great ending. I mean, I was ready to just jump into the next one, which I couldn't at the time because I only had volume 1 at the time. So I had to, hit Jason up. We had to meet up. I had to get the next one, all this stuff. And like I said, I need to just buy it. But it's a great ending to this volume and just leaves you hanging there with like, what? It's like just getting started. And yet we have gone through so much.
So the newest comment here in the chat.
Honduran.
Yes, I have a friend who is Nicaraguan, and also he doesn't see people of Nicaraguan origin as featured characters in comic books. So, like, he immediately gravitated to Marcus because, I mean, that's his national origin, and for him, this, he grew up in San Francisco, and nobody was a fan of Reagan.
Yeah,
unless you're in business, but that's a whole other show. And
right. Thanks for hanging out, Honduran. A wild ending for sure. And like I said, it's one that for me, especially, like, I'm like, okay, like, let's just keep going. Like I was going to ask you, did you read this? I mean, I know you're reading it now as it's coming out, but did you read it from issue 1 when it was first coming out and even all the way through now?
I've been monthly. I've been monthly ever since it came out because there was something about the cover when it was coming out, and they were like, it's staged in the 80s, and seeing Saya and Maria on the cover, I was like, all right, this is interesting. Like, I don't know what it's about, but the cover alone kind of, and the style of Wes Craig, I was like, I'll check out issue 1.
Yeah.
And then I finished issue 1. I was like, I don't know what the fuck I just read, but like, I'm into this. And then like slowly it was like, every time it came out, top of my read pile. Like, I had to see what was going on.
Sure.
And there's a particular issue where, like, my friend Sid and I, we both messaged each other at one point, and we're like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. Like, I can't take this heartbreak.
Right. Yeah, I don't believe it's I hear it gets even crazier. So I know I'm in for a ride.
It heightens to a certain degree, and then we start introducing new characters.
Okay.
It's almost like The Wire season 2, where all of a sudden we have all these new characters getting introduced. You're like, well, who are these people? Okay, well, now I'm into this. Okay, but we still have some of our old people. Like, let's see how this ride goes. And it just keeps escalating and escalating and escalating. And it finally hits that operatic crescendo. And now we're hitting towards that final end of the line
finale,
and I don't know how to feel about it.
Right, sure. Yeah. So, and I was just talking with Justin Nemesis Prime that was in the chat before, and he was saying that like there's technically it's what you said 2, like 3 issues left, 2 or 3 more. Yeah, which means at least 2 to 3 more months, right? So we're looking at like September for the finale or something like that.
Probably, yeah.
So if that's the case, then my goal is to make sure I am 100% caught up. Yeah, by the time that comes out, which means after these first 3 hardcovers, I am going to have to dip into, buying the trades or whatever.
Well, Trade 4, I think, is getting worked on now. But I mean, digitally, just picking up the trades as they're coming out now. Probably easiest, and at least, for the time being, until you get
just to have a
collection of the hardcovers.
Yeah.
Well, the hardcovers are big and they're nice.
Yeah. I love reading this way. Like, this is a great, and me, I usually read everything digitally, which I love. But it is refreshing and nice to have like the extra large.
Damaris has 2 more issues.
Oh, two more. Okay, yeah. So let's call it 2 months.
Yeah.
My goal will be to have it done by the end of August or so. Yeah, there you go. It says ends in August. Okay, so maybe before the end of August, I'll try to have this done.
Also, like, I'll just say, like, you started reading this, and all of a sudden I saw Sheena started reading it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Kate Jobs,
I've been
Shy
seeing
Comic
everyone.
Girl.
Yeah, yep, and everybody's
And like
tagging
it warmed
everybody.
my heart because I was like, thank you. Like, finally,
Yeah,
people are reading this fucking series.
yep.
And I understand it's not for everyone. Like, it's between
No,
the drugs,
right.
the sex, and like,
Yeah, no, it's a heavy dose for sure.
and
I agree.
between the mental health issues, the
Yeah,
trauma, abuse, like, you either have to have a thick skin or just be able to like
kind of
handle it,
kind of go with the flow. Yeah,
or
yeah,
just know that it's a lot of like, I guess growing up in the 80s, like I've seen like all the heightening of like the old action movies, and
yeah.
it's the craziness of it. Um, so what would you give this first volume, like, out of 10, like, or even just like, would you recommend highly, not recommend?
Yeah, so like if I was grading this on like a scale 1 through 10, specifically on volume one, I mean, I I'm a high grader, especially when I love something, like when I'm really enjoying it. So, and I always try to dial it back just to dial it back. But I mean, this is definitely close. This is like a 9 for me. Like I'm really, I've enjoyed it through and through. There was no moments on my end that I did not like or felt dull or anything. Like it's just it keeps you hooked every issue, and the story progresses, and you get to learn about all these people, as we talked about, who really have much more in common than they realize in certain ways, on how kind of a darker pasts that they've had, or certain demons that they're currently fighting with, which can certainly be relatable in certain aspects as well. So I think that in many ways this book could be for anyone who's who's reading this or whatever, or can relate to, or at least find some sort of relative or relationship with some of these characters. So for that, it's high for me. It's definitely a high grade for me, and I would definitely recommend. I mean, I have been shouting it
Yeah.
out to people ever since I started with issue 1. So if you're not reading this, or if you haven't read it yet, I know JP was in here before, said he's just about to get into it, which is awesome to hear. Yeah, I would definitely recommend it. I mean, I think this is something where it'd be a great gift, and again, as long as they're age appropriate, it would be a great gift to
Yeah.
give somebody, as a trade, even just the first trade, the first 5 issues. Like, I think it's just something that you'd get hooked to immediately, and every ending, especially at the end of it, each 5 or 6 story
There is
arc.
a hook at
Yeah,
the
you're
end of
just
everyone.
completely, yeah, like in such a heavy way too. Like, I get, like, all comics are like that, but like it's in a heavy way where you're just like, okay, like where does this go? What, all at the same time, leaving you with lots of questions and things that you want to figure out on your own too. So well balanced in that way. I love the action. I love the artwork's beautiful. I love the over the topness of it, and I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, that's kind of how I'm feeling about it. What about you?
I've always been sitting about a solid 8.5.
Okay, yeah.
Because I know, like, it's not going to be for everyone, but the art's not going to wow anybody.
Yeah.
Like,
It grew on me though. Like,
it grows on you, but if
grows
you're
on you, yeah.
kind of like into the big artists
Sure,
and not
sure.
used to
Like the
indies, you're going to
commercial
look
stuff,
at it and be
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I don't know about this. But like the storytelling movement of the page and everything, I love.
Yeah.
And I know the hyper violence and everything's not going to be for everyone. The drug use isn't going to be for everyone.
Right.
But weirdly, and I don't think many people look at it this way, there's so much cultural representation in it. And, he leaves nothing unturned of everybody's shitty.
Right.
Doesn't matter what culture you're going to be shitty.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like this is a strong recommend for me. And again, try the first $9.99 issue or trade, which was Reagan Youth. Pretty available. And if you can't get through that, you're not going to like the rest. And
right. Yeah.
I think that's the easiest way, and you're not too financially involved.
Invested, yeah.
Or even watch the first episode for free on YouTube. If you like what you see on that, literally what you see on that show is what you're going to see on the page.
Yeah, there you go.
Just without very pretty people playing.
Yeah.
There is a book by Image that I would recommend that is actually kind of close to this, called Five Weapons.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard of that.
It came out like a long time ago, and it's another school, but they only teach 5 weapon types.
Okay.
And a kid who basically was the human target for the son of this criminal family ends up going to the school instead of the actual kid who's supposed to go. So he gets indoctrinated, but everybody wants a piece of him because they think he's this badass from this family. I want to say it's been done for about 7 years, 8 years now.
Yeah.
That was one I liked. And then there was another, if you like the school drama stuff, it was called Morning Glories by Nick Spencer and crap, I can't remember the name of the artist right now. It went on for a while. It was a high school drama mixed with a little bit of Lost.
Ooh, okay.
So like there's a whole arcing time travel thing going on where future selves of people were showing up. There is a crazed Russian assassin named Irina. Pretty decent. The art was good. Nick Spencer, I know people hate him just because of the Captain America Hydra thing, but this was before that, and I liked it.
Oh yeah, Nick Spencer wrote that. Huh? I forgot.
Yes, he also did the Spider-Man run for a while, which was eh.
So I remember people bashing him for the Spider-Man run. The Captain America Hydra. What was the name of that? Wasn't that it was like a 12-issue?
Yeah, I tried to put it out of my head. I don't remember what it was called. I just remember Cap Hydra.
Secret Empire? No.
Yes.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Secret Empire.
Oh, okay. I like that series. I remember
it was okay, but like people just went way over the top, and I don't think we're trying to understand what he was trying to do. But
right.
Politics are politics. And
right.
It's just not for me.
I just looked up the Morning Glories. I see what you're talking about here. Created by Joe Eisma.
Eisma, yeah.
Eisma, yeah. Okay. That's the
covers always drew my eye to them because they're always very colorful, and I'd see them on the shelf and be like, "Oh, what's that?"
Yeah, it says Runaways meets Lost. That's their.
I really liked Runaways when that came out.
Brief description there.
Very underrated for people who haven't read those, and you can get them in little manga formats.
Nice.
Thank
you, sir.
Thank you. I know this was kind of truncated and we had no format, but I might be the best way to talk about it because you can kind of jump around to what you like. And for those who like this kind of bad format, my channel, we don't really do spec. We do basically we read and watch movies.
Yep.
So we'll
just talk about what you love.
Talk movies, and then we do graphic novel book club. We've got 2 different shows this month. Next week, or this Saturday, we're doing Saga the Swamp Thing Volume 2 by Alan Moore. Got Moonlit Comics with us, Actual Dracula, Karate Kevin, Comics Will Break Your Heart, Gambit, like I said, Actual Dracula. So we got a group together. Justin, we wanted part of it, but
I know.
Too crazy.
I love that you guys are doing it, though. Yeah.
We did 2 hours for the first volume, which was crazy. Who knows what this one will be? And then next week we have Ink Panels Graphic Novel Book Club, and we've got Fresh Princess coming on with us, Azor's Tiger.
Nice. Love Anika and Eric.
Film Noir Girl from NPod is coming on with us, and possibly Inja Binja.
Nice. You always have the best groups, Dan. You always have the best groups.
I try to get who I can.
It's fun.
We're doing Rodney Barnes, Nita Hawes' Nightmare Blog, Volume 1.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Rodney is a good friend of the show and the channel. And
you've had him on before, haven't you?
3 times.
Yeah. I remember catching one. That's so cool.
Going to be a 4th. But I try to.
Michelle just met him. Did you see that?
He actually sent her a message to give me.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
nice. Tell Dan I said hi and don't be jealous.
He seems really down to earth, man. Just like your conversations with him. Yeah.
But it seemed like a good book to do since it just came out.
Yep.
Gambit has next month's pick, and then
Nice.
we do rotating. We had just added Pretty Nerdy to being a contributor monthly with us.
Yep.
So we try to do stuff, and then Carlito and I do our celluloid and scotch once a month. I got a feeling we'll be talking about Thor: Love and Thunder at some point with John and Bearded.
Yeah.
Our third and fourth Beatles.
What a crew! What a crew!
Yeah, like Fire Guy Ryan came on with us.
Oh, he did.
He had to be the contrarian one to the group, and we were ranking our favorite Batman movies, and it got real ugly near the end.
Oh no!
Everybody had drank a little bit too much.
Oh man, I have to go back and watch that one.
That one was on John's channel.
Nice, nice.
Carlito mentioned he liked the Snyder cut of something or the director's cut, and they just all started railing on
Oh man.
So yeah, that's my channel. We go off topic a lot. So like I believe Tessa as a nerd said our show is unhinged.
It's a good way to put it. Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
It gets dirty at times. And also, Morbius contributed to one of the dirtiest segments of the show's history.
Oh, I think I heard about that. Yeah.
But yeah, this was a huge amount of fun talking about a book I love. And Cartoon Sid, if you were watching in the replay, I know you love Marcus. Marcus isn't my favorite, but I appreciate that you love this book, and it sparked our friendship.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, Dan, thanks so much for doing this with me. I'm glad. Like, I know we've been going back and forth trying to line
almost
up
a year.
schedules. Yeah. Like, you know, just want to get you back on the channel, man. So this was awesome. I know we even talked about just talking about comics at one point.
You know, another time. We'll anything just do it open.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, definitely. And as you mentioned before, you know, as your schedule changes, you know, we'll definitely work something out. We'll get you on Omni X-Men on a Tuesday coming up here in the fall would be really cool as well. So yeah, a lot in the works, but always appreciate you, man. Love what you're doing on your channel. And
I appreciate you, and always you and John with the X-Men stuff. We're like, you'll post some stuff on Mutant Monday. I'm like, why do I not have that variant? What is wrong with me?
You're like, now I got to get that book.
Also, for anybody, speaking of X-Men, Immortal X-Men this week.
Oh, this just came out. Oh, you read it? I didn't get to read it yet. All right.
Hellfire Gala, yeah, but Immortal X-Men.
Okay. I'm okay with that. I'm okay. I'd rather be that way than the opposite. So I'm okay with that. Like, okay. I just reread issue 3 today because it's so complex sometimes, and I have to like reread things with that book.
4 was real good.
So okay, cool. All right. Well, yeah. As for me, I don't have a lot of shows coming up right now, other than I am doing All-Star Superman. I always want to say the other one. All-Star Superman with Fire Guy Ryan.
And Superman for all seasons? Or
not. We just finished all seasons.
Okay, we did.
That's what I almost
we did All-Star Superman with Gambit and V on my channel.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's awesome. I loved it. We did. Ryan and I just did like we broke it down 4 episodes and 4 issues. Like we broke it down each.
We did the whole trade in one episode.
We were going to, but I'm glad that we kind of did it in individually, because we really like, you know, I did the whole panel thing. We went like panel by panel and just like broke the entire book down.
Jeff Loeb was on Kevin Smith's podcast, the Batman on Batman. He talked about making that book in particular.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Tim Sale almost quit 5 times.
Really?
Because DC didn't want him putting his dog in the book. So he drew his own dog into the book. And DC was like, well, no, that's not canon. You can't have your dog in this. And he's like, well, fuck you. I quit.
Wow.
So they finally came to an agreement that he had to have the other dog and could have his dog in it, but the other dog had to be in the book.
Oh my gosh!
He literally quit 5 times.
Wow!
And like,
I have to look for that again.
Also, like, didn't want to do the book, and much like Long Halloween, where they're like, "Oh, it's going to be a 1-shot," and all of a sudden, like, it's 12 issues. He's like, "What?"
Just a little over aiming there. Well, I really enjoyed that one, and we're going to break down All-Star for this next Thursday coming up here.
So super heartfelt. And And Superman for All Seasons also
Yeah,
gets into dynamic.
And they're both first reads for me. So that was, All Seasons was the first time around. Fire Guy Ryan loved. I mean, that's like his book, and for good reason. But now, so he recommends. He's like, all right, let's do All Star now. And our buddy Daryl's going to join us too. Read Your Comics from Instagram. So yeah, we're gonna do one issue. Have you read that All Star? You said you said
All Star is one of my favorite Superman reads ever.
So I think what our plan is, and we're talking about it still, but after we do a couple, we want to have like a guest on for like one or two of the issues. So maybe we'll have you on for one if you're interested.
We could work on it. Yeah. Also, there's this backstory behind that. Grant Morrison has a biography movie that you can find on YouTube called Super Gods.
Oh, okay.
The whole concept of that, he was walking around San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And he saw a cosplayer that looked like Superman to him. And he sat down and talked to this dude for like 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
And he somehow, in talking to this guy, came up with the idea for this story.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, like it's
I'll have to check that out too then.
This deep thinking creator who he loved Superman but wanted his version of Superman, and talking to this guy, he came up with this whole concept for it. I know I have useless trivia stuff like this.
No, I love it. It's great. No, very cool. I will be I'll keep that on the list too then after we read through it. But so yeah, we're gonna do this. I think it's gonna be a year long. I think we're just gonna do all 12 issues once a month and just kind of ride it out and see where it goes from there, depending on our schedules. So but yeah, it would be cool to have you on for one of those.
Ryan has been on my movie show quite a bit lately.
Yeah. Sweet.
We just did Goodfellas.
Nice. Yeah, I like we're all in the same circles here. It's great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, other than that, I just have my my top 5 videos coming out on Thursdays, and I have a lot of cons coming up. I have this weekend. I'm going to see my dad at Hershey Con. He's going to be he'll have a table at Artist Alley for that. So my brother and sister are coming up. It's in PA, so we're gonna get together for that. And then 2 weeks after that is Terrificon, and then the week after that is C2E2, and I'm gonna be broke by the time
Moonlit said that she was going up to Terrificon.
Terrificon, yeah,
because she wasn't gonna be able to do the Nita Hawes.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's if you ever get a chance, Dan, come on up north, man. That's the show to.
I haven't been back up north since I lived in Long Island back in '90.
Oh man, okay, that's a while then. Yeah.
I mean, I keep saying every year I'm gonna go back up and go to a Mets game.
Yeah. I mean, they're decent this year, so.
I mean, they're decent for the first half of the year every year.
Exactly.
So like,
it goes. I know how
the same thing. Like, I live down here now, and everybody's like, "Oh, the Rays," and I'm like, nobody follows the Rays. When they do, everybody's like, "Yay!" but nobody cares. Same thing. The Marlins won twice, and nobody gave a shit. Because everybody's a Boston fan, a Yankee fan. Or weirdly the Phillies. There are more Phillies fans down here than I have ever met anywhere else.
Like Rod, just a Rican. He's a big Phillies fan, and he's down in Florida.
Him and I get into some interesting text chat.
Speaking
of Fresh Princess.
Hey, Anika, we were just talking about you. All good things.
We'll see her in 2 weeks on for Nita Hawes.
Nice. Well, we're just wrapping up here. So, catch the replay. And anybody who's watching the replay, thanks for doing so. And everybody that was hanging out, swung by the chat, we appreciate you. Make sure you are subbed up to Dan. I put his YouTube and his Instagram link in the description below. Again, big shout out to Jason Claiming Comics. He was going to join us here tonight, but he couldn't make it. But just want to thank him because he's the one that's been lending me these books as we've been going along. So definitely appreciate you, brother, and hope everything's good. Maybe we'll do another one, Dan. We'll do a volume 2.
Put in the comments if you want more of this.
Let us know. Yeah. We could definitely.
And if you have questions about it, you can find us on Instagram.
Yeah.
Or recommendations.
DMs are open. DMs are open.
Mine are open unless you're one of the Russian hackers. I'm not down for that.
Not cool.
No, have you seen how much in the community lately? How many people's accounts have gotten whacked lately?
Oh yeah. And all these promotion comments and stuff. I get them all the time.
It's all crypto. Crypto.
Do not click on any links ever.
No.
unless it's
No.
by me and I'm trying to sell you something. All right, gang. Well, we
Thank you,
will
everybody.
wrap this up, but take it easy.